Yo, what's up guys? Today I'm going to be reviewing the anime Azumanga Daioh, and I probably messed up that name really bad, but it doesn't even matter, because the name of this anime has absolutely nothing to do with its content. But regardless of that, this anime has a very distinct style. This is probably one of the more unique anime I've seen in a while, mainly just because of how absolutely bizarre it can be at times, and I think it does a pretty great job at blending a bunch of different elements together in a way that makes it feel unique. Mainly just the soundtrack, the art style, and how those play into the overall tone. And especially the soundtrack, I just want to really highlight how amazing it is. Because the soundtrack is really just as wacky and wild as the anime is overall. There are a lot of weird instruments used in a goofy way, but it actually fits and just sounds good still. Even though on paper it really shouldn't work, but that's just kind of this anime in a nutshell. And I just think you couldn't get a more perfect OST to fit this anime. But most importantly, the comedy in this anime is what makes it really stand out from the rest. I think that this is probably one of the most unique comedy styles I've seen, or at least for the time it was. Now don't get me wrong, this anime certainly has a lot of jokes that have been overused a lot even before this anime was made. But the jokes themselves aren't exactly what makes this anime unique in the comedy sense. It's more the way the characters interact with each other and the scenarios that are born because of this, as well as the presentation of the comedy itself. This is the really important one because the presentation is what really makes this anime stand out the most. And if you have seen this anime, you'll probably know what I'm talking about when I'm talking about the presentation. But if you haven't seen this anime, it's kind of hard to put into words just how unorthodox and bizarre the presentation is. It's just one of those things that you'd have to see to understand what I'm talking about. Now, one example I can give of this is how certain scenes will often play out and not cut even up to a full minute. Sometimes there's just nothing happening at all during this time, and it's kind of like a wait for it type moment because you know something's going to happen eventually. So whenever the thing finally happens or the characters finally do something different, it kind of makes it even more funny than it would have been if they just cut to it straight up. So I really appreciate the fact that they like to let scenes play out rather than just forcing things sometimes, and people might get bored because of this because they do it quite often. But this anime has quite a lot of bizarre moments, and I think this is the reason it has been one of the most memed anime of all time.
Hello everyone. How are you? Fine, thank you.
There is just tons and tons of gift potential packed into every episode, and overall, I think this anime did a pretty great job at creating a comedy environment. However, the more the anime went on, the more repetitive it got. It gets to the point where every episode starts feeling like the same thing over and over again. And it never really switches up its comedy style. It kind of feels like over and over again we're just seeing the same jokes, but we're just seeing them implemented in slightly different scenarios, and it just kind of got really repetitive. And especially over the last 10 episodes, it just got really stale, and I was kind of just ready for it to end. I still think this is one of the more unique comedies I've seen, but for the most part, the comedy was really hit or miss, and a lot of the time it was kind of just cringe. A lot of the jokes also kind of just felt forced in as well. It's like every single scene has to have some type of comedy implemented somehow, and there can't just be non-comedy scenes, it feels like. And the anime definitely suffers from this because it feels like no scenes play out naturally. But I still think it's worth getting through all the stupid jokes in order to get to the actually funny ones, because this anime can be genuinely really hilarious at times. I do think that the characters are the most important part of this anime though. The characters are all pretty likable for the most part, at least as far as the main cast goes. And even though I think all the characters are likable, they aren't standing out too much for me still. And I say this because for the most part, they're all kind of just defined by one personality trait. Sakaki is mostly defined by finding animals cute. Osaka is mostly defined by being an idiot. Chiyo is mostly defined by being cutesy. Tomo is mostly defined by being audacious and cocky. Yukari is mostly defined by being lazy and careless, and Kagura is mostly defined by sports. Kiyomi is the only character who I felt had more than one dimension to her personality, and that's because she's more mysterious than the other characters. We don't really know much about her. But with all that being said, it's not really the biggest problem ever because it's more about how the characters interact with each other. And I found the characters to be charming in their own ways, and when they all come together, I think this is what makes the anime so special. Seeing their personalities clash and mesh with each other is most of the reason this anime is so successful. So it's more about the collective group rather than just one character. But I do think that there's one character that easily stands out from the rest of them, and this would have to be Osaka. She is definitely the heart of this anime, and I just don't think it would be the same without her. Her bizarre and unique worldview makes her one of the most hilarious characters in anime, and her idiocy is what makes this anime stand out as much as it does. But I think all the characters add some kind of charm in some way, and I think all of them are pretty important. There is definitely one character this anime would have been better off without though, and that is Kimura. He is purely defined by being a creep that likes to stare at young women. And throughout the entire anime, start to finish, he does not show one other trait than being a weirdo. And during the few serious moments this anime has, he pretty much ruins every single one of them. Even during graduation, I couldn't take him seriously, and I found it hard to believe how he even had a job here to begin with. I think his character would have been way better if they had just fired him after like 2 episodes. Clearly, the women at this school have a problem with him being a teacher. So had they all got him fired, I think this anime would have been way better without him. Also, one more thing. I do wish the characters had more presence outside of their comedy roles. Like, sure, they all serve their purpose pretty well inside the anime, but realistically, Osaka will probably be the only character I remember in a year. Another problem I had with this anime was that it takes place over 3 years of time, but none of the characters really grow or look any different physically than they did at the start of the anime. You would think that high school girls at this age, especially with Chiyo, who is younger than everyone else, would actually grow and start looking like different people. But if you go to episode 1 and then the last episode, they just look pretty much the same. The only physical appearance change I remember happening is Tomo getting a haircut. There are brief mentions of characters saying that, oh, you look taller or something like that, but we don't really get to see it visually. Not only did they not grow physically, but they also don't seem to be very different mentally. None of them really seem to get new hobbies or interests or anything. So pretty much with everything I'm saying, this anime is purely a comedy. And with the comedy being so inconsistent for me, I just can't give it too high of a rating. This anime is also somewhat episodic, and for that reason, tons of moments that I would have liked to seen happen are very rushed past. Like when they go to the theme park, we spend longer watching them take the train than actually seeing them at the theme park. This happens during a lot of the episodes, and it kind of just feels like the anime is trying to rush past everything. And it just felt more like something you'd watch broadcasting on TV rather than actually enjoying it through a full session. It feels like this anime is meant to be watched over a long span of time rather than binge watched in like a week. And if I had watched it like that, maybe the comedy would have felt less repetitive. But with all that being said, I did somewhat enjoy this anime still. And it's one of those that'll probably stick with me for a long time just because of how unique and bizarre it was. So yeah, with all that being said, I'm giving this one a strong 6. This anime is really accessible for anybody who likes comedy. It's fun, cute, and innocent, so anybody who likes comedy, I definitely recommend it for you. So yeah, hopefully you're able to enjoy this one more than I did. It's truly a one-of-a-kind anime, so if you like comedy, go check this one out. But that's all I have for this review, and let me know if you guys enjoyed this anime or if you didn't enjoy it, and let me know why in the comments. And that's all I have, so I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.
私が運転するわそれがいいです行くよ